How long ago was it that you had cancer, Nancy?
I was diagnosed in 2011 and was, went through all this stuff through 2012, and then last December 2016, my oncologist told me that I was cured. Not in remission, but actually cured. I wanted to go to art school. I was always interested in art. When it got time to go to college, I ended up going to the University of Chicago, which was a very academic school. They didn't consider painting to be much of anything except something you do on a Sunday after you're done studying Aristotle. But I got a BFA degree. I was probably one of about 8 people in that university to ever get a Bachelor of Fine Arts. I just stuck with the art department. There were a couple of okay teachers. And when I graduated, I came out to California to go to art school. And I got into the Art Institute. Unfortunately, the time framework was the beginning of the hippie era, and I got involved in stage sets and costumes. And that's where I developed this technique. I had to create, let's say, a king's, crown. It had to fall off his head for 6 weeks, 3 times a night. And I learned to use this stuff called celastic, which was a kind of a felt that was, you dip it in acetone, it had some kind of glue in it, and then you could cover paper with it, or rather cardboard. You can make these 3D things. Like I said, I was fascinated by theater. I went to a lot of theater as a child, and I was very interested in theater design, and I loved 3-dimensional artwork, and I loved the collaborative aspect of it. I did one great production of The Wizard of Oz for kids that had these movable set pieces, Oz on one side and, the farm on the other. So that was really a lot of fun. But aside from that, I just, moved into the studio and just started making work. And like I said, starting with paper mache, and then moving into canvas and the gator board, and, Strangely enough, I've always made pieces so that I can actually fit them in my car. It's almost like I'm stuck at a certain width, and I can squeeze them in. I'll have one idea, and then I'll say, nope, I got to amplify it. It's got to go a little farther. Nope, I got to take it a little farther. 3 pieces, 4 pieces, not often more than 4. But I have a few series of 5. But it would be great to do bigger work, but I don't know. I just haven't gone there. So then I thought, what I really want to do is like a whole lot of lines and color again. So I started drawing, and around here it's very hard to get art material. So I ended up going to Michael's. My friend Linda told me, they have got some art supplies. And I got a whole bunch of markers. So I got, years ago, I used to do a lot of drawing on Bristol board, with rapidograph. So I started with the markers on the Bristol board, and I ended up like 20 or 30 drawings later, small drawings, like 12 by 18, I just hating them, thinking they were the ugliest things I've ever seen. So I had this pie tin up here, because I use a lot of circles, and I like to use, because I can't draw a circle, I like to use a pen and something to make a circle. I cut them into circles, and then I'm like, what am I going to do with them? So then I glued them down onto pieces of real thin foam core, like what you get in the dollar store. This kind of thing. Well, you know what I mean, just a thin, flimsy stuff. And so then I said, I can't do it flat. I just can't work flat. So then I cut out a thin foam core thing, and I laid it on top. And then I started chopping up. I kept every little bit and piece left over from the circles, and I collaged it all down here. And then I said, no, it's still too flat. So then I took the gator foam and I did another surround. And because I kind of cheapened on my gator foam last time I bought it, I got this brown covered stuff instead of white. The markers didn't show up on it. So I realized I had to paint the gator board. So here we have a series of 3 pieces, which I call Corinthian tapestries. And I just worked it through. This was the first one, this was the second one, and this is the third one. And I did 2 paintings as well with a similar theme. I just sold those, but I don't know. I found them satisfying. I don't want to do any more line work for a while, and so I returned to painting. So this is another group of 4 pieces that I call natural or not. And for years, I've had a very deep fascination with imitation wood. In fact, downstairs I have a collection of ceramics that look like wood because I love wood patterning. But I didn't want to make it realistic, and I wanted to do something that was not as saturated. I wanted the color to be more translucent. And the funniest things will influence me. I'd watched this wonderful documentary on a man who was an art forger. He would do these exact copies of the most amazing things. So he was doing one with a real kind of an orange wash, and I said, yeah, I'd like to try that. I want to get less saturated color. So that was the inspiration for this. But I call it natural or not, and it's a series of things that leaf-like forms, wood-like textures, not enormous layers of color, and I just work it through. And I'm very tighter. I like to use up all my scraps. If I found something that I thought could work, I would cut them up and add them on. And I wanted to do some smaller work because so this was a series of 4. As you can see, I have no thing about needing space around work. I jam stuff in, and I jam a whole bunch of other stuff around it. I have that feeling that you need to live with it around you. And the pieces that I have downstairs, the ones that I've kept from past series, they're like a vocabulary of forms for me. I like them. I like to see them. I don't consciously reference them, but I think about them. I'm the kind of person where when I do something, like I have friends who will do like the same thing over and over again because they know it'll sell, they have no problem replicating it. I couldn't possibly do that. That's why I have to go, one piece isn't even enough. That's why I have to extend it to 3 or 4 or 5 because I need to get the whole idea out.